on News 24, amongst other publications, that Brent Bozell III, having arrived in the country, he is the ambassador designate, confirmed by the U.S. Senate and appointed by Donald Trump. But his arrival, of course, in South Africa comes at a time of deep tension between the two countries. Of course, we do know that South Africa's ambassador to the United States, Ibrahim Rasool, being expelled. Mcebisi Jonas, the envoy appointed by Cyril Ramaphosa, his visa being rejected by the U.S. State Department. Now people are asking, well, should South Africa accept the credentials of Brent Bozell to make it official? Donovan Williams, international relations expert and commentator, joins me now. Should it be a tit-for-tat game, or should it be about mending fences and mending relations here? Donovan, good morning.
Good morning. It shouldn't be about either, actually, or neither. It shouldn't be for tit-for-tat, nor should it be about mending fences, in my opinion. For all intents and purposes, essentially, the president or the country has accepted the credentials of Bozell III as the ambassador or the representative of the United States president. Because before he even came, we had agreed that he will be that we will accept him as the ambassador. So now it's just a matter of a process where the president will officially and formally accept the credentials. So for all intents and purposes, it's done. It's a process where you have something, it's a word very similar to agreement. It's agreement, where there's communication between the two countries, and they say this is going to be the ambassador, and South Africa says yes. Now,
so what is then your third way? You say it's not about mending fences. It's also not about keeping up this guard of ratcheted up tensions. What is then the third way?
The third way is the normal way, and South Africa has been a great supporter, an advocate in the United States and elsewhere for the sovereignty and independence of one's country. Okay. So yes, in terms of the world, all countries are not equal. They're just equal on paper, but in reality, they are not. We know that. And there's a multilateral system that gravitates to those countries which are more powerful, but also in the sense tries to protect those countries which are not as powerful. And South Africa has been a wonderful proponent. And this is even South Africa that was even in apartheid times, when you think of the role Smuts played, the union president, when South Africa was a union, Smuts played in the building of the United Nations, for that matter, and after World War II. Now, in that sense, South Africa's role is not to dictate to a country who should be the ambassador of that country, just like South Africa doesn't want to be dictated to. Even though that is what President Trump and his administration has done, they have weaponized every little rule in the favor of a pettiness that suits the president. And we don't agree with that because we believe in a multilateral system.
Donovan, is both South Africa and the U.S. both overstating its role and its prominence? South Africa as an emerging power, as an emerging state, a developing economy, wants to be the flag bearer for the global South. The United States having to acknowledge, they are dependent on South Africa, with the, I think, 500-600 companies based in South Africa. This country being the gateway to the African continent. Continued role within AGOA, because the American business lobby tells the United States government actually South Africa can't be excluded. Are both countries here overplaying their hand?
Look, I cannot speak on behalf of the United States. The United States is a nuclear power. It's the largest military in the world, both standing army. It has bases all across the globe in north, south, east, and west, etc. So it's difficult to talk about the United States overstating its military and economic power.
I'm particularly referring to the economic role that it plays, that South Africa plays in the US and vice versa.
Yeah, agreed. And I understand. South Africa, on the other hand, cannot speak on behalf of anybody but South Africa. and we shouldn't be asking for it and questioning why is it speaking on behalf of South Africa. Its particular philosophy, its understanding of itself, our particular values which are in our constitution, which include non-racialism, non-sexism, these are universal matters. And South Africa propagates those values. At the same time, South Africa is looked upon within the continent of Africa, because the question is not just about South Africa punching above its weight as such, but Africa. Does Africa have to then say, okay, we must step back, we understand we're not economically powerful enough, and therefore we cannot state what needs to be done in the world, that it's a better place that fits us, because that's what you're basically asking for by saying, no, hold on, you're being a little too uppity here. Maybe similarly like what happened on the football field yesterday in the Real Madrid-Benfica game. Was Vinicius Jr. not supposed to raise his voice when something wrong was being done to him, because that would have upset the spectators at the stadium and upset the game being played. I'm not talking about the racist incident.
I was about to give the clarification, that game being abandoned because of racial abuse being held at the Vinicius Jr.
But that's the point I'm making. I'm saying that South Africa is doing nothing wrong by stating its point of view. And to ask it to do that on a strategic basis, say, no, but now you are irritating a more powerful, bigger economic power, etc., then you're getting into tit for tat, and then you're getting into the same hypocrisy that irritates us all about the global field itself. And we shouldn't be doing that.
Is short-termism also affecting our thoughts here? Look, let's be honest, from all the reports and the readings and the things that I watch and I listen to, there is concerned about how long Donald Trump will remain within faculty to remain as U.S. president. We don't know what comes after that, a J.D. Vance for the rest of the presidency. We don't know what happens in the 2028 election. But these things seem to ebb and flow depending on the Democratic or Republican administration. Is this a short-term spat when on the long term our general relationship with the United States has not been adversarial, has been one of partnership and allyship? We generally, on paper, have a very fruitful relationship with the United States.
We have a very complicated relationship with the United States because it's not just government to government, it's people to people, organizations. There's long histories itself amongst very, very particular individuals in the United States across the political spectrum or social spectrum. And the United States and ourselves and South Africa will always be discussing at different levels, sometimes in agreement, sometimes in disagreement. I think on the whole, though, the point of the matter is that in terms of both short-term and long-term, the world has irrevocably changed in how the United States under particularly President Trump has operated on the global field and utilized their power very nakedly. That has changed the world. Now, the extent of the change of that world is only as insofar as we decide how much it has changed for us. And I think that's what you're raising, Lester, in fairness, is that has it changed so much that we capitulate on that which we hold dear, that which we think is important? And that's a question we must ask ourselves. And do we then say, okay, if you can't beat them, join them, so we also get involved, in a manner speaking, on short term, because the long term has already been impacted upon.
Donovan E. Williams, international relations commentator. He writes about the subject in the Mail and Guardian. Fascinating reading, as always.